It's already melted, so the satellite's not picking it up. Okay, this is the areas, I mean, there's more. There was an early snowfall that melted within a day that occurred, you know, about a month ago, which was unusual. But it was just a dusting on doing that, but there isn't any accumulation on this. So this is October 12th. Oh, I am off on it. It's October, sorry. The update is last month.
Behind, you're okay.
Sorry.
That's pretty good for engineering.
It's more has to do with my eyeglasses. There, that looks a little better, doesn't it?
Yeah, that looks good.
There you go.
So it's a little lighter. So there's your two computer. It did get some stuff.
I have some relatives up there and they called me and said, hey, we just got 18 inches, so hopefully I'll get you some water.
You put it in a truck and send it over.
I was gonna say, yeah, they might have to truck that.
Send it over the mountain.
Yeah, and then maybe on the
Wrong basin.
Pecos Basin.
Wrong basin.
All right, any questions or? All right, no allocation. Not, you know, won't get anything with the compact until the earliest is late February. And they can't even begin to think what the water supply or the allocation would be at this point. So the next one's Jay's, the third-party construction. I'm sure we're gearing up for a lot of that. There's a list. Sure.
All right, Jane.
Well, more than even I thought, now that I see the list.
We'll be pretty busy this non-irrigation. That's a list of all the stuff going on. The major ones, Jess Harris down at the bottom there of the list. Border Patrol starting to build their bridge across the border drain down there. Favens and Jess Harris, Legal Reserve.
Thank you.
They're starting that up. TxDOT's got a pretty large project from Zaragoza to North Loop. They're gonna build some bridges over the middle drain to connect the frontage roads from Alameda to North Loop. We're gonna build two pretty large structures. They'll be frontage roads. And they will be closing the bridges as well from North Loop to Zaragoza, Loop 275. Towards the middle, they're gonna close that and make another lane inside, as they've done north of I-10, or, yeah, north and east of I-10 on the loop. So, that's a majority. Escada the Wasteway, we have a pre-construction meeting on Tuesday at TxDOT. They're gonna extend the box culverts on the Escada the Wasteway in Alameda, 20 feet in each direction for pedestrian access sidewalks adjacent there to Alameda and parallel. We've got, so there's a subdivision coming in over here on Chicken Ranch Road and Riverside. That subdivision was approved last month by Vista. They've got some dewatering, they've got an application for dewatering, but they will be installing a box culvert in the Sanelli Main for ingress and egress into the actual subdivision. So there'll be a lot going on next couple of months. We're attending construction meetings weekly and making sure that all is built per specs has been approved by the board.
It'll keep you busy.
David did, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make the rounds quick enough to keep somebody from pouring concrete before we inspect it. To pull it out. Yeah, so.
No, everybody's pretty much got the routine down, so they give us a ring typically 48 hours in advance, unless something comes up, it'll be a day, but they're all well ordered.
So the Border Patrol's gonna fix the bridge they tore out.
Yes, yeah, they're putting, they're gonna put that, same as those other ones, they're about 60 feet in width, they're pretty narrow, you know.
What's this that, Jim?
Jess Harris, the road that goes from Pavements, I-10 all the way to the border fence. Street. They're turning way on Regal Reserve, go straight by Markson, Orlando.
Not far from your friend's house over there, where your Dafflin's farm.
Yeah.
That road that goes, used to be a bridge there, well, there used to be one everywhere in that. Midnight traffic was a lot higher than it was during the day. Yeah. All in commercial vehicles.
Yeah.
All
like to make, update the, real property license manual just on some technical issues that are, have to do with the standards. They're, nothing major there, but there is the only one that we need to, you've given, the engineering authority to take care of the technical standards, so we'll do that. The one that is a policy issue has to do with a request, we talked to you about it last time, that there was a request to install a potable 4-inch, is that correct?
Correct.
PVC water line parallel to, one of our right-of-ways, right on the edge of it, so we've got it moved over as far as we can. Normally, we don't, you know, the board has to approve all parallel, or not, it's usually just a perpendicular crossing, so in this case, that's different, so we've got language that we'd like to add to the manual that says for the purpose, only for agricultural purposes, the use of the potable water line. If you guys, I can put the language up on the screen here in a second. The other issue is, whenever there's a parallel installation, obviously the right-of-way width times the length can get very large, you know, if they're running several miles down that facility. So the normal fee paid by taxpayers makes it rather expensive. On this particular one, you want to talk about the particular application?
Right, so it's on the agenda there, 2058, so this is a 4-inch water line coming off of Schaefer Road. It's coming off the Tornillo potable water system. And it runs parallel and adjacent to the Tornillo drain upstream, downstream about 4,500 linear feet. And it's, the application is by 5R. And it's essentially to fill up storage tanks, ground storage tanks for spraying purposes and you know, other agricultural uses. So it's just, he's like, you know, we're taking a couple of hours to go to headquarters and fill up and come back. So it's about 4,500 linear feet, you know, at the 10-cent rate, comes out to just about 4,500, 5,000 a year for the license itself. So that's where I was discussing, or I guess proposing, you know, the renewal rate, I guess, for the city, right?
Yeah, for the, well, we've negotiated a renewal rate on large volume crossings, which is the public streets, you know, for the county, the city, the Sen, Socorro, right, they haven't done it with San Elias. But we're in the middle of working on those. So these are one, and of course, the initial one was with the city of El Paso, so these are very, you know, large amounts of linear area there. Most of them are perpendicular to, not parallel. So the only thing we thought we would propose is to do it the same cost per square foot as we do for those large volume public licenses.
Are these, is it a yearly license or?
It's typically, we're doing it under the standard one that is recommended by, in this manual, which is 25 years.
And
We require that payment in advance. So it's 25 times 4,000 for a water line.
Now, the thing that I'm concerned about is maintenance and stuff. Is it totally clear that if we tear it up, then our maintenance, that they would fix it?
Yeah, it's our standard license that puts the entire burden, and insurance, they still have to get insurance, $1 million insurance and all the other things.
Is this Tornillo or the landowner?
Oh, it's landowner. It's a private water line.
The landowner,
Tony, it's not,
it's
his meter
Tony's,
will be there where you take off.
right, but he's at Brown and
That's
Caldwell.
This is his line. Okay.
Brown and Caldwell, the engineers for Tornillo are designing the entire line all the way to.
But it's a private line, this is, we're only allowing, so the language is up on the screen, so it's only, would be only for agricultural purposes, and it's restricted to under 6 inches or smaller. So it has to they have to demonstrate that this water, the reason they're putting this line in is to, and in this case, is to supply for a batch plant for the spray.
You answered my other question, if it was all right with Tornillo to do it, so you just
Yeah,
answered
It's
that.
not, you know, Tornillo's,
Tornillo at the moment used to have a moratorium unless,
that's,
see, I'm downstream, so if somebody starts sucking this.
So from what we understand, they've already approved
So
it.
Have they got a new well?
I had a meeting out there with Tornillo and their general manager, they have a new general manager now, and their engineers, Brown and Caldwell, and they said that they weren't concerned, because I mean, obviously, pressure and the availability get it delivered to the end. And they said that it was not a problem, and if there was a drop, that they would install a booster station, and, you know, Tony would pay for that as well.
Does he get the water now by hauling it from?
From his headquarters. where
He's
he
hauling
goes
from the
all way back
headquarters?
to his headquarters.
He's calling from the headquarters, and
Headquarters,
it's,
but and that's the same water supply, that's
Yeah,
his headquarters?
he has Tornado water, so
Okay,
Right.
so it's the same amount of water, regardless of
that's true.
one end or the
That's
other.
true.
it's just a few miles upstream, and it takes them, you know,
Unless
a
he adds a few more.
couple of hours for their round trip to go and come.
Well, he can't, right now, there's only one in and one out on this design, so he'd have to come back to amend the permit if he wanted to add more connections.
No, I understand, we're talking about.
We're talking about
Okay, sorry. And so, it's pretty limited, and that was my concern, and so the reason why we're drafting policy for it is I don't want this to apply to universally. This is just a very specific limitation that we can control, that it doesn't damage our, because we typically don't do parallel because of the problems they cause. So this one has to meet all the requirements and the design requirements. It's limited, it has to be for agriculture, it's not for a subdivision, it's not for public.
So what you need right now is an amendment to the manual,
So the
right?
manual, now, understand that all this does is gives us the ability, it says in the manual that the final decision is always made by the board. So it just is a permissive, it's not a requirement of you guys. It just says you can do this. It doesn't say you will do this. So it's just saying that this is a new one. Right now, it says you can't do this. Because
Okay, I understand.
we didn't want you guys to.
Hey, do I hear a motion to approve the amendment to the manual?
I'll make that motion.
Robert makes a motion, do I hear a second? Second. Larry seconds, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. All right, that's all we don't have in this deal?
Thanks.
All right, Pedro, you're on. First one, I'm gonna take.
There's only one.
Good morning. Good morning.
That's quite a few pictures, so we'll go through it pretty quick.
No, I
I don't wanna bore you guys. Well, right now, we're still working on the wells. We've already pulled 4 wells out that were not producing at all. One of the wells has been sleeved and airlifted. And here's what you guys are removing it to start. Right center. Oh. That are doing the airlifting. This well here, all we're lacking is to go back in there and install a rebuilt pump. We have rebuilt 3 pumps as we speak. We got another one in the shop, and we got one more that we need to take in there. Now, these pumps are being rebuilt by SNS Welding. So this well here, Franklin Feeder 7, that's all we're lacking is to reinstall. This is Riverside 5. This one here has also been pulled, ran cameras on it, and has been airlifted. Franklin Canal 3, at the moment, is being sleeved. It's being done as we speak. So we're sleeving that one also with a 16-inch casing. And what they do is they put a concrete floor on the bottom to keep any sand or anything coming up. And also, it'll get a rebuilt pump. And RS-20, our guys are right now pulling that one as we speak. So we can drop a camera and see what's in there. Some of the problems that we ran into here this past month is, of course, falling trees from people's homes. We go in there, we cut what's in our right of way, and they're in charge of removing their tree. This is over the branch shade by Yarborough. And again, these are some projects that we're handling right now. What this does is just damages our equipment and our truck. So you'll notice the difference in, once we go in and remove all these trees. This again is over by between Yarborough and Nolan. This is right here below Zaragoza. And any tree that is in our right of way, we do not trim it, we remove it. Okay, because we don't want to go back and have to do it again next year. Here is on the Mesa Drain over by Yarborough. Again, this right here is part of our city agreement, so this tree was removed. Some of the problems we have uptown, this is all up there by the Piedras area, eucalyptus, Rainer. And as you can see, we have no right bank to get our equipment in there, so this is something we gotta do every year. Every year we'll go in there, we'll build ramps so we can mow that right bank. That's just to kind of give you an idea what our obstacles are. To include low wires, because this area here has got a lot of low wires that we're constantly breaking. See, so we're actually having to get inside to do the mowing on this area. This is an area that we've spoken about shotcreting, correct?
Right.
And hopefully hereby, it'll happen pretty soon, maybe we'll get rid of some of these problems.
And that's brush that, they did this last year,
Right.
and that's accumulation from one year to the next.
Right. See, and unfortunately, the only time I can do it is right now when there's no water in the Franklin. Riverside Canal, here we had cleaned out the Riverside a couple of years back. Border Patrol started complaining that there was too much sand on top, therefore they couldn't do their maintenance. So we went in there, removed the sand, at the same token, narrowed the channel a little bit. And this is what it looks like after we were completed. This was done all from Wasteway 2 all the way to Wasteway 1. And that's been completed. This is the shotcrete that we laid last year. We're going back and raising our banks to where it's above the concrete. This also has been completed. We haven't done anything on the left bank because in my understanding, TxDOT's gonna do that, correct, Jim?
Yes, they're gonna put that trail, the 10-foot trail sidewalk.
This is on the Isla. This is part of the shotcrete that we'll be doing this year. And I believe we just got a grant for this also.
Correct.
So that's great news. Just kind of walk you through the process of what we do out there with when we're gonna do a shotcrete. This is a little device that we did in-house. We get a little creative once in a while. That's what it's looking like after it gets graded. And hopefully I'll be shooting this year by probably the beginning of the year. Then again, our car problem doesn't end. You know, this
Was
is,
that all in one day? They put that in there?
yeah, it looks like it's a load.
Yeah, it looks like it's from, you know where that's from, yeah.
So, right now I've got a trailer at the Rio yard that we have filled up already. It's the second one that we did, with some grant money that was also given to us, and apparently I'm gonna need another trailer now, so. Again, this is all inside the city limits, so it'll be, charged out to the city of El Paso. Crossings, you know, we've been on crossings here for, I guess, the past 3 months. This is another one over here by Tornillo. This is one of 5 R's, crossings, the pipe in the bottom failed, and as you can see, it's a little on the high side. Went in there, installed a 90-inch. Unfortunately, there's a irrigation ditch that goes over the top, so that had to be removed beforehand. And here it was, well, here it was completed. Then we go back, dig out the ditch again, so we can go put the farmer's ditch back in. Tony requested that he wanted a 2,000 pipe in here because he upgraded to a 36-inch. He had a 24 here. And he also paid for 2 sacks because, as you can see, we don't have any cover on this pipe. And with his equipment going over the top, it's just a matter of time before he breaks it. This is the Isla. This is another one of the city projects. This is up there just upstream from Nevares, and the Isla lateral goes over the top of the drain. So here we are, just demo, and then the installation of the new pipe. It's really nice when there's no water in the system because we can actually do a pipe at a time.
Yeah.
Here is already compacted all the way to the top. You can see our roller up there compacting the lateral, make sure that we don't have any kind of voids underneath once we start putting the E-stop back into place. Here we redig the ditch again, install new pipe, 2-second also because of the cover that we have over the top. And then we get our first rainstorm, and this is what happens. So this is one of the crossings that we had just done a couple of months back. So there's a total of 3 that we're gonna be shotcreting. Again, this is all part of the contract with the city of El Paso. Here it's already been reshaped. And this will be shot tomorrow. So we'll be shooting shotcrete on these 3 structures starting tomorrow. This is the Montoya drain over by the river, where we dug it out from Racetrack Drive all the way to the river. Water's flowing pretty good. This area here, we've been having problems here with the New Mexico drain over by the river. Apparently it's plugged underneath the river, so I finally got IBWC to go out there with the long reach and see if we can go ahead and get it uncovered. There's a constituent up there that I would say calls me probably twice a day. Because he's really concerned. He claims that the water's creeping up about 2 inches per day.
Is that in New Mexico right there?
Yes, yes, this is below Racetrack. This is from Racetrack to the river, and it is New Mexico. This is the area where they were gonna put that for that bridge across it.
Yeah, we cleaned it and now they're not gonna build it.
Right.
But that's okay. I don't know if we can send them a bill.
This year is another one of the city projects. Again, we've got the drain underneath, the New Mexico, which is constantly full, and you got the Montoya main that goes over the top of it. So we'll be doing the same thing here, removing the pipe underneath, replacing it. We'll come back, we'll put the Montoya main back into place, and then we're gonna go ahead and concrete line the whole section that spans over the drain. And we're on this project as we speak. So those are some of the projects that we've got going, gentlemen. I still got about a good probably 12 to 14 crossings that we got to do. You know, I just got a call yesterday, one in the west side, went and looked at it yesterday, and sure enough, it's the one in Heritage Farms will have to be replaced. Luckily, right now, the collapse is on the shoulder, so it's not really a real big emergency that we have to drop what we're doing to go get to it. And spoke to the gentleman yesterday, and I did advise him that, you know, being that it's a private crossing, that he'll have to pay for material
And labor.
and so, yeah, because there's no irrigation on that side. They've got no rights in it. I don't know,
They failed to dedicate that entrance, that street to the city of El Paso.
No, it went to the homeowners association, so the homeowners association has to pay 100% of the cost.
Right, so they're under the impression that because they have nothing in writing, that it's ours. So what I advised the gentleman yesterday, I go, I ain't got no use for it. If you don't need it, I don't need it, we'll yank it out, we'll leave it open.
No, they have a license.
Oh, they do have a license, okay.
So if you want us, they've already paid for it, if they don't think they have a license, then.
Well, he said he's never seen a license, so,
Well,
I mean, I guess.
I don't know what he's seen, what he hasn't seen, but.
Yeah.
Is that Tennis
I
West?
think the license
No,
was
this is
negotiated with
Heritage.
the owner with,
Oh, Heritage
what was her
Farm.
name?
Yeah, I did, we did it with we were reluctant, we did it with the homeowners
No,
association.
there's a whole file.
Because it was supposed to be a farm type activity,
Right.
was supposed to be.
And that's the crossing that actually Al recommended that we replace the pipe back then, and they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I
Al had
remember,
warned them it was going to collapse.
It's in the license, they have to pay for 100% of it, because we
yeah, I do remember that, I even got a.
do. We'll get you,
a
we'll
quote
find
on
the
it.
license.
Yeah, okay, great.
But, you know, the license says if they won't do it, then you can remove it then. I mean, that's what the license says. So if he doesn't want to abide by the license, then we'll remove it.
Do they have another entrance?
They do, on the side.
No, they can't get in, so they don't want it removed.
They do have another entrance through,
Through that park, that new park that's
yeah,
there.
Well, actually, on the side of the street,
Oh,
you know, there's that side of the street that comes from, Country Club, there's actually a gate there that goes straight into the Heritage Farms.
But I think that's their emergency entrance, isn't it, for the fire
Yeah.
department?
But he said he could use it once we start doing the.
Oh,
repairs.
yeah, temporarily. But they, I think that the subdivision was contingent, the city went, or was it in the city at the time? I think it was. They had to have two entrances.
Right, for emergency
So-
purposes.
So the city would not be happy if they didn't have an entrance. So I would think the EMS and fire department would be upset. So, anyways, we have to make it work, so they'll just need to do a special assessment.
I'll get with you guys to get the information.
Okay, we need to call them and get that started, because it may take them months to get the money.
It has a wall on both sides too.
Yeah, I think they did the walls.
Yeah, they did. That's where we put up those stop signs that I was telling you.
And they actually got like a little house right in the middle of the street. And I advise them, that's gotta come out. And if you wanna put it back, it's at your penny, you know, I ain't putting it back in, so.
Right.
Any questions for me?
Pete,
Yes, sir.
by any chance, did you notice any change in the water level on the pumps when you were cleaning them out? Did it rise with all the irrigation water this year, or did you see it the same?
Just static work.
Yeah, static
The water table?
level.
The water tank, no, actually, I didn't see a difference, Larry, but then again, we never took I guess a reading
The reading?
prior. So it'd be false for me to tell you that it didn't come up or it did.
We do,
It's not gonna
every
read.
February, we read them all, so I can get you, we keep it each year. So I'll get you the
Kinda
numbers.
interested to see what.
I would have thought it came up this
Yeah,
year.
that's what I was thinking.
That's what Harry was hoping.
Yep.
We'll
But most
get
of
you, and we wait till February so that there's no, sort of, for some reason, February, nobody comes, it's cold, it's whatever.
Most of these wells, we're able to just leave it up to about 94 feet, so we're getting way down there.
That's 96 is the bottom.
And your production's pretty good on them when you sleep them?
I'm sorry?
Is the production pretty good on them?
Well, we just did these, we still haven't dropped a pump on them,
You're right.
so we still gotta drop a pump and see what it's gonna do, but they were real good producers.
What's the slot size in the sleeve?
Well, they're using 3/4 inch gravel.
But
So
I mean,
they're
in
going to a
the
larger-
sleeve,
a larger gravel.
it's gotta be screened, I mean, it's gotta be open. Is it, what's the sleeve made out of?
It's steel, yes.
So there's
Steel.
torch cut, or,
No, they're actually, no, they are torch cut. Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, we're getting them here from, what's the name of them?
Is it next?
No, Bobby and Joey.
No, it's, oh yeah, then they'll be fine.
Yeah.
He knows what size it is.
Real
What's it
simple.
called? Rio Seco, there you go.
Yeah, they'll be fine, they know how to do that, so. Whatever they might be mill cut, or plasma cut.
I know he had some Mel that he had ordered already milk cut,
Yeah.
and then he's got some that he did.
He did here, yeah. Well, with the plasma cutters are so cheap now that you can get, one that'll do a circular, so you
Right.
can do it yourself. It's about a $3,000 machine now, but it just mounts right on the pipe.
But the last ones he did for us were last year, he steved one of the wells for us, and the production on that well did come up. So it works, and it was a world of difference.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of, some sort of growth on the screen, right, on those old ones.
Yes, yes.
That black stuff we talked, it looks like
Yes.
asphalt, it's actually biological in nature, so.
I actually,
I've got one down there, and then one down here, you just plugged it up.
Plugged it up there with it. No, it's a bacterial, like iron bacteria.
It's a bacteria.
And it's really ugly looking. So it looks like asphalt, but it's really not.
one of the wells that we actually pulled, the pump had some holes on it, I'm thinking about probably 6-inch big holes on the side of the casing.
From that bacteria. We don't know where it came from. It seems to be in certain areas and not, we suspect for years the effluent from Bustamante was discharged down the river drain, right? Or the river,
Yes.
and carried down there, and so, which wasn't a good idea, because partially led to a bunch of failure of our drains, but that's the only place we can envision that there would have been a source for that bacteria over the years, but
Mine go right down here,
yours was
3
offside.
miles from here. It's a long way from any of that.
Yeah, it is from this, but we saw a whole bunch of them along that, right along that drain, so,
Yeah, we're getting that growth on all the wells.
I mean,
You can see it on all of
a similar bacteria was determined, was up there in that San Luis Valley, they remember that, and that, they said that bacteria had been there for, 10,000 years.
Boy, they had.
It just came back to life.
Did they ever resolve that? Did they ever get that problem resolved? I don't think.
They never got to production. They're operational, but they went back to conventional wells that flow more water, so they wouldn't have that problem. But I think I don't know what the number is, but 10% of what they designed it to be, so.
Didn't help.
Yeah, well, so, yes, the most expensive water we decided in any place. But anyways, it was a lot of water out there, you just can't get it out of the ground.
It was a good idea, it just didn't work.
Just didn't work, yeah. Because of 10,000-year-old bacteria.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Pete, good job, man, keep it up. Thank you, sir. You got to work now.
How's that?
4-foot Robert can rest, and then you have to work. All right, Roberto, you're up.
6 inch is what we're talking about. A foot, Robert.
No agua,
No, Robert?
don't have nothing to say. Doc, the season ended in October the 25th, and right after the rain, I mean, towards the end, the rain came in, kind of late, but it came in and started to pattern, I guess. But no, I don't really have much to say, the season ended pretty good. I think it did, the cutoff dates worked out pretty good. The Upper Valley cut them off June 7th, came out to the end, and all the rest of them ended pretty good. Now I'm just helping Pete out with some of his projects and talking to a lot of people who've community ditches that got problems on them, trying to help those people out in the trees, but I don't have much to say right now. No agua, no moon.
All right, Pete, keep him busy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Robert. All right, application 1995.
Okay, this is the application by CA Group. So this is the 73 acres here between I-10 and North Loop along Old Waco Tanks, the new subdivision going in. And they had delayed, I guess they were having some problems with the city of Socorro, but they finally got everything squared away. They did begin construction, but they submitted the aerial land exhibit with irrigation easements and all the necessary documentation. So engineering recommends this subdivision for approval. If there's any question.
Can I hear a motion to approve application 1995?
So moved.
Larry makes a motion. George seconds, all in favor say aye, all opposed same sign, motion carries. Application 2007, Jake.
So this is an application on behalf of Texas Gas Service for a single residence that is down here adjacent to the Tornillo Canal heading and the Fabens Waste Channel heading. There's one house on the south side that I guess they've been requesting Texas Gas. They have a gas right now, a gas line that's hanging on our structure, and the line is old and corroded, so they're looking to replace that line. They offered the residents to place a propane tank, and Texas Gas would pay for it, but they declined, and they would like a gas line as they have today. So we've got a couple of structures there. So they will bore underneath all 4 structures. It's for that single house, and they submitted the engineering plans. So it'll be directional drilled it'll be about 20 feet below the surface there. So, there's a gas line there, and then, so, we did mention that we've got it in our 5-year plan to redo the head gates there at the Fabens Waste Channel and the Tornillo Canal heading, because, if we were going to demolish those at that point, we can go ahead and open cut and place the line, but I told them it'd be probably maybe next year, with the Riverside project, it might get bumped. So they went ahead and asked to place it on the agenda because they need to replace the line, so they're gonna go ahead.
They'll get that money back in about 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Right, for the single residence, exactly. So there will be, so there's a $500 fee. And,
$500 fee is the compensation?
compensation, so the board had a resolution a couple of years back for constituents of the district for when they are able to receive water line or gas from the local entities, it'll be a $500 flat fee for using the crossing the district's facilities.
Jay, what is HDPE?
It's HDPE, it is high density polyethylene pipe, it's the, it's a yellow pipe that they use.
They're putting gas in that plant, is able to tolerate.
So they put it inside, they're gonna put a 2-inch HDPE, and actually, I'm sorry,
For you.
that should be a steel casing, they're putting a steel casing in. It's a 2-inch yellow pipe that they put to carry the gas, and then it'll be a steel casing.
Okay.
Jay, that resolution on value is always open to being reset on specific case basis.
Yeah, but
Okay.
this was a general case basis that the board wanted for constituents that they did, and for water, it was when we were doing a lot of water lines and the drought, some other issues. So if the board wants to do, to revisit that, we can put it on the next.
Sure, the board, I'm not saying the board can't say it, I'm just saying you may need to pass, as a part of the resolution granting the license, some statement about compensation.
Yeah, it's in the license,
Okay,
it's in the license. All licenses have a compensation clause.
Do I hear a motion to approve application 2007?
So moved.
Art makes the motion,
Second.
Larry seconds, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Texas Gas Service, of course, is an Oklahoma corporation.
That's
One
what they
of-
call it, Texas Gas.
Texas Gas is not a Texas entity.
Doggone Hokies. Trying to fool.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm joking.
It's a Sooners.
Okay,
Well,
and this,
it's,
on the
it's,
5R
Texas
Enterprise
Gas
deal,
has a lot of entities. It's one of many. It's only owned by one, okay.
Yeah, well, Texas Gas is a Sioux name.
Well, it's more than that, but that's all right.
No, it's just a Sioux name,
Okay,
that's all it
it's
is.
just, it doesn't matter. We're good. We know who we're dealing with.
who?
You want me to show you?
Application 2058.
So this is the application submitted by 5R for the 4-inch potable water line that'll be, it's currently being designed, and actually, we've got a preliminary for, it's about 4,500 linear feet, and adjacent to the left, parallel on the left bank of the tornado drain, adjacent to the private property and the district's property line. And he is requesting a 25-year license to run potable water for agricultural purposes down the bank. We spoke about it earlier, and on the, on the renewal rate, or the rate, I guess, for public city streets, and it's roughly about, even at that rate, about $35,000.
It's a long ways.
And that's for the 25 year, or that?
Yeah.
It's
that's-
$13.50 a year. on the,
Okay, all right.
Wow. So it will be constructed a minimum of 5 feet below the surface.
Is he aware of this?
Yes.
And he's all right with it? No.
He,
Yeah,
he
no.
needs the water. No, I guess he's having a hard, it just takes too long to go to headquarters. It's taking about 3-4 hours to get the tractors all the way down and back, and, it's not efficient, so. But it was engineered, and it will be placed 5 feet below the surface, so at that point, I don't think we should have any problems with any,
And I don't think we can do any different than we do with everybody.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to approve it as with all the details that Jay just
So moved.
told us? Art makes a motion,
Second.
Larry seconds, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Scott Bain, application 2074.
2074, yeah. Scott Bain applied for a construction, I'm sorry, dewatering license. He is doing the utility and groundwork for the lift station and all the sewer for this new subdivision, Valle Vista. down here by Chicken Ranch Road and Riverside Road, which was adjacent to the Loretto Sisters property. It's about a 90-acre subdivision, and they are requesting to discharge the dewatering water into our facilities to allow them to construct the sewer lift station for the subdivision. It is approximately, the discharge, they did calculate about 300 acre feet. It'll be approximately a little under $50,000 for the discharge, and at this point, it seems like it's gonna be all 300 acre feet.
It seems like those things have been not reaching their max in the last few years. Is that because of the pumping of the water out and the lowering of the water table in the whole valley?
Right, well, you know, I think the developers, they haven't been constructing too many subdivisions down here. They've been mostly up on north of I-10, but even at that, they've been pretty fortunate to make the connection to the sewer systems to adjacent lift stations, so they haven't had to go that deep. They have to build a lift station here, so they're having to go about 20
Well,
feet.
what I'm talking about, they have to pay the money up front.
Right.
We've been refunding a lot of money.
We have.
They used to always go over, and I was just wondering if maybe the total in the area, the water level had dropped
No,
enough.
it's not that, it's just that design, these particular designs aren't, I think one of the things, we got a lot of the sewer lines put in that needed to be dewatered, so just a lot of the service lines have now been done, both with the city and Lower Valley, so that we're not, that part of the development's over, and they're just connecting to them, they connect a lot shallower than the transportation lines are.
Well, I was just wondering why their estimations are off. That's all I was wondering.
I don't know, I mean, we have so few that it's just sort of random when they.
You know, since this,
I hate to refund money, is what I'm saying.
Well, we
You're
always.
missing the point.
I think we got more conservative in the deposit, is what happened.
You and Mary.
Yeah, that's right, Mary.
It's not, you gotta
Mary
remember
only
that.
has one pen that signs checks.
When it's in the escrow account, it's not our money. So I have to tell her that every once.
If you-
Only when we transfer it out of that account does it become ours.
But it's potentially ours.
It's potentially, but it's not. It's there for, it's better to have more in there than less, so we don't
All
have
right,
to
so
make it.
y'all, you want to approve this one, Jay?
yes, they submitted all documentation and a deposit, and engineer recommends this application for
Approval. Do I hear a motion to approve application 2075? Is that right? No, 2074.
274. So moved.
Okay, George makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Larry seconds. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, application 2075.
So this is an application by Mr. John Holland. He's off of Strahan Road, and it's about a 10-acre block that for some reason 0.26 of it is classified as highlands. So he finally came in, and I think he had been here since 2012, and he finally came in and submitted the documentation and fees to classify it as irrigable, so we can send tax it and whatnot.
It is irrigable?
It is irrigable.
And have they been cropping it?
No, it's like a horse deal. It had some horses on there, had some stalls, but it is classified as irrigable, land can be irrigated. But that's 0.26 acres from the 10-acre piece, so he finally came in and submitted the document and paid the back taxes, brought the check. So, he contacted Rose, came in, and everything is, so we've got all the documentation needed to bring into the district, and
It's all right to add something like that, right?
correct, it's just 0.26 acres, so it's not much, but the back
How much
taxes.
do we have left in that little
It's,
account? I'm not gonna say it with spirit here.
What is the balance?
Account that has
About
acres
122
that are
acres.
not assigned.
122.
Still have 120.
Yes.
That's not, it used to be around 400.
Well, we moved a lot, we did quite a bit of stuff with the city, remember?
The Bosque.
Right in
Bosque.
Ramon over here.
Fire
Ramon. Yeah, it would,
That's
yeah.
good.
Some points it gets down real close and then it gets a bit back up as land goes out, you know, so we like to have it at zero, right?
So, yeah. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve application 2075?
So moved.
Larry makes the motion,
Second.
and George second, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. All right, if there is nothing else except the closed session, so let's take a short agenda.